Hey guys, sorry about the audio quality in the second part on the Blight Ranger. I apologize. What's up guys? How you doing? So I was gonna do something on Pantheon this week, but I'm gonna show you a video of how Pantheon this week is going. Yeah, you know, it just works. It's just beautiful what the community finds out and then continues to abuse until it inevitably gets fixed. And then nobody actually knows how to do the encounter. So the first build we have today is nothing new. It is a Lucky Pants build. Now, why would I show you a Lucky Pants build? Because this is the Tex Mechanica Cowboy build. Again, you know we about to use the last word. Now, I know what you're gonna say. But Warden's Law is so much better with Lucky Pants. Why not use that? Well, I say to you, last word. So, main things of this build, Lucky Pants, last word. You're on Golden Gun, so you have another last word that spits out solar fire. And the reason why I'm including this in the useless build is because realistically, if you're doing any hard content, you probably want to use Warden's Law. Last word does a bit of damage, a pretty good chunk of damage with Lucky Pants, and it can fry some enemies as you can see in the background. But you got your last word. I went with the heliocentric sidearm because when you're not using your last word, you can clean up regular enemies with the sidearm, and it looks like a Glock, man. It looks like something like a little bit more modern Cowboy would use. Of course, it's got a suppressor, but you know, let's not tell the ATF. And then we got our Terminus Horizon to fit with that Tex Mechanica style-esque weapon. I had a tough time coming together with some weapons because, you know, the only specials are the Wild Styles and the one from the dungeon, and they're both Void and Solar, and I wanted some synergy between them, but I just couldn't find it. So basically, you're just living to spam the last word and use your super as often as you would like. The super I do like to use for the fantasy of it is the Golden Gun Deadshot. You'll be surprised if you have the fragment Ember of Combustion and you're using the 6-shooter golden gun and using it to clear ads. It does do a pretty good job of clearing ads. Now, is this the best option? No, but it's for fun. It's living the fantasy of the cowboy life. You know, you got your last word, you're pumping out damage, and then you pull out the golden gun and you clear all the ads with the golden gun. And it does create a significant amount of orbs, but it's just a fun build, you know, and good to live the fantasy of something, because too many people are just all about the meta builds, because Destiny has become a grind about completing the hardest content possible rather than just living in the fantasy that you are a space zombie working for an 11th forest with all these crazy things and goofy things within the game that people just don't take advantage of because it's not meta. Meh. But I would like to encourage you to go out, step out, try some wacky things. Obviously some things aren't going to work, and I found with this it's pretty reasonable at its job. Obviously you lack a little bit of DPS after you're done with the last word shots because you don't, like your super, you're not going to be using your super to shoot at a boss. So I always generally swapped off to a linear or a rocket so that I could actually deal DPS. But realistically, you don't even have to do that. Like, as long as you can manage to stay alive, you will be fine. And that's where our Glock comes in, because I got heal clip on this thing, and if you're clearing up red bars and, you know, some weaker enemies, then more often than not you're going to be able to proc heal clip and heal yourself. On to part 2. So what we're going to cover today is a build that I think is fun but is kind of useless. And what do I mean? Well, we're gonna, you know, pull out the good old Blight Ranger. Blight Ranger. I know many of you have forgot about this exotic. What does this exotic do? So basically, you have to have your Arch Trader, so your Pole Dancing Hunter on, and attacks you redirect with your Arc Staff, deal massively increased damage, and generate orbs of power for your allies. Guarding with your Arc Staff does not consume extra super energy. Now, it does generate an exorbitant amount of orbs, but it doesn't do anything else. It's not like Ursa Furiosa for the Titans, where you actually increase bonus damage and generate orbs and all this other stuff. No, you just look like an idiot standing there blocking a bunch of damage. Now, it's kind of good if there's a lot of high-level enemies shooting you all at the same time and you want to survive. Yeah, it can be good. But other than that, like, attacks you redirect with arc staff deal massively increased damage is a joke. Like, it doesn't actually deal that much damage, or it doesn't feel like it's dealing extra damage. Now, if you could hit crits with the enemy's weapons, that would be cool, and then maybe it might have its own niche. But again, we're here for useless builds. So what do you need with this? Pretty much all you need is Blight Ranger and basically some way to create ionic traces. That's why I have a bunch of stuff spec'd into like jolted targets create ionic traces. I also have Tempest Strike so I can slide and make things jolt, and Indebted Kindness with Volt Shot. Now you can do this with any Volt Shot weapon. Realistically, it does not matter. All you're trying to do is get to your super, use it, block a bunch of damage. And from the video, you can kind of see how you could use it in Onslaught. And what the sad part is, again, is that a lot of enemies in Onslaught will just run past you, or they will shoot you and still run past you. And I want to talk about one more thing. Why is it when I do any activity, whether it be GMs, Nightfalls, or raids, that people refuse to use their supers? Like, I'm trying to use this bad or to mediocre helmet to generate orbs, but people don't use those orbs to actually create more orbs for me or the rest of the fire team. They just sit on their supers and wait and wait and wait till the perfect opportunity when they could have had 3 supers by that point. So what is this really? Well, it's a stupid build with a PSA. Use your supers. If you have an opportunity to generate orbs, do it so that your teammates can use their supers too more often. You'll find more often than not that super spam is much stronger than just shooting stuff with guns, unless you're using a bad super. And kind of like this one, but that's beside the point, because there's so many times like I go into Onslaught and people will have like Orpheus rigs on or Phoenix protocols on, and then they never use well or tether, and or their teammates don't stand in their well or let the enemies actually become tethered. Like, you were actually hindering your team from just mopping the floor with this activity. So use your brain a little bit and be like, oh shoot, they have Phoenixes on, they're popping well, I should be in that well, and I should help them shoot enemies so that they can regen their well. Oh, I should also use my super so that they can get orbs and get well even faster. Like, those exotics, like Orpheus Rigs and Phoenix Protocols, are so good that if you play into them, those people should always have super. It doesn't matter their intellect stat, they should always have super. And the reason I'm kind of peeved with it is because, like, the whole point of this build is to just generate orbs for your teammates. Like, this actually does generate a lot of orbs. And again, I'm going to just preface this. It's not as good as Orpheus Rigs because Tether is just 10 times better than this. But if you see someone using their super and creating a bunch of orbs, you know, maybe it might behoove you to use your super and create a bunch of orbs. Like, yeah, you might not have super in an instance where you would want it, but more often than not, people will be creating enough supers if you're chaining supers to just endlessly cast them. Now, should you use this build? Yeah, if you want to meme a little bit, you can, but if you don't really, like, it's more or less for fun. And in Onslaught, as you've probably seen or are going to see, that you can literally just stand in front of the boss in most of the boss rooms and just eat attacks. Even melee attacks, I think, count towards it, and you can just sit there and eat all the spam, redirect it back at them, and just generate a butt ton of orbs for them. The only issue I found with this is if you're somewhere where your teammates can't get to, then the orbs are wasted, and you probably won't have your super very quickly unless your teammates are also generating orbs. So, you know, it's fun. It's cool, but it doesn't do anything that something else does better. I really do think that they should make that the redirect, the damage should allow you to crit if you hit crit spots and generate even more powerful orbs so that your teammates can get even more super energy, because like that would be the only niche use that this would have. But until that happens, this is just a fun but kind of useless build. And again, if you're trying to do Pantheon, just, I mean, most teams are probably trying to cheese it, so good luck with that when you actually have to do Riven for like get to Riven and Rolk is way harder and you don't know how to do it. Remember that because you cheesed it and because they fixed it, now it's, you don't know how the encounter works, and now it's even harder. So good luck to you with that. I will see you guys later.